Hello, everyone, and welcome to Say It Out Loud GG podcast, episode 2. And we have, nonetheless, hands down, drop down. That's his music, let me tell you. He said it today, and I'm in love. We have Maurice in the house, the authentic. Yeah, in the house. Everybody welcome him. I've had the privilege of knowing you last year, right? It was for the art,
Music Arts Festival.
the Music Art Festival, and I was invited to show my art because someone, I forgot her name, Michelle.
Yeah.
Is it Michelle? Michelle sent me the email.
Was it Michelle, or Melissa? It might have been Melissa.
No, it was Michelle.
Oh, it was Michelle?
It was
Okay,
Michelle,
okay. Yep.
yeah.
From CSSD.
Yes. I was doing, I was as a vendor at an event in City Hall, and she saw my logo, and she's like, wow, that's a nice logo. It's like the yin yang. And I said, yeah. And she said, oh, where did you get that from? And I said, I made it myself.
I like, have your magnet like on my fridge.
Yeah. And she was like, oh, so you're an artist. And I'm like, that was I'm like, and that's where that invitation came in. And she said, and I was really surprised. And that was probably one of the best emails that I had last year because it got me to meet you, to build a relationship now and build I always say you have to build a strong foundation in order for it to bloom. And here you are today at Say It Out Loud.
Your network is your network.
Yes. Yes. And I have the privilege, let me tell you, your bio is amazing. Hands down. We're talking about, I'm like, please do not mess this up. He's a pro at this, guys. So guys that are sitting down there.
Learning,
where we're going to learn it to the day we die. But I'm saying, I'm like highlights and everything on these notes. So, So your community,
we still here. We with you.
And this is not streaming, so it's not like I can edit this. So here we go. A youth advocate, you're a music artist, definitely. That was his music in the background. A photographer, instructor, public relationship business. He was raised in South Jersey. Tell us, what was that? I could read your bio and we could do this, but I want it to be authentic like you are. So I want you to tell people your story, a little bit about, who you are, what you do, and where you came from.
First and foremost, what's up to everybody? Thank you guys for tuning in to Miss Judith Diaz, and continue to do so. Make sure you click that subscribe button. Yeah, I'm a public relations guy, so I'm good at marketing. I grew up initially on a military base. My father was in the Air Force. So first couple of years, my parents got divorced when I was around 8 years old. Was back and forth from Wilkesboro and throughout South Jersey. Growing up inside a single parent household, I was raised by my great grandparents quite often, and my grandmother. My grandmother is the one who taught me a lot of my business core principles because I was in the hood during the week, and my grandmother was one of the first Black female executives to work for Amtrak. She's born and raised in Camden, so her being with her on the weekends, teaching me what power soups are and what a soup spoon and a salad fork, and women are supposed to wear their pocketbook across their body when you walk downtown. Just a lot of the core elements that give me the balance like that I have in life. Growing up without and watching my mother struggle. As a single parent, amazing, super strong, loving woman, but just watching her struggle is kind of sort of the thing that gives me my core principles. And then growing up with great grandparents, my great grandmother had me cutting grass and fixing bathrooms at 12. So just having that balance between my father being in the military, my mom growing up single parent household, my great grandparents and my grandmother helped, give me the balance like that I do, and also help me be able to be myself, without having to follow inside any specific path, being able to take attributes from each one to help me develop into who I am. Definitely was back and forth. Did the sports thing. Got blessed to get my first major record deal when I was 16 years old in high school. I got signed to No Limit Records, Master P, back in those days. And then from there, just over time, Like I went to college. I was blessed to go to college. I went to St. Augustine's College in Raleigh, North Carolina. So that helped me get my college degree. Also helped me push my music a little bit more. Being in school, I went to HBCUs. So I was blessed to be able to get booked on major tours, open up for major artists, and just get that education, which helped me come back and want to be able to utilize it to make an impact inside my community. Like growing up that way, growing up without, which was really giving me my passion of public relations wise to specifically work with people that are impacting other people. And I'm like, definitely don't want to answer every question within the answer.
No,
just making sure.
It's all about you today, yeah, and highlight what you do. I mean, when I met you and we had like a 5-minute conversation, I'm like, yeah, we need to connect. What you do and what you're passionate about it. There's a difference. There's a difference between being an entrepreneur and doing what you do for the sake of money, publicity, and all that. Especially you come from the music industry, you know what that looks like, and you decided to take a step back and say, hey, even though you had a major record deal and all that, and say, no, this is my passion and this is what I want to do, more than being the artist of the year or anything like that. You turned your gift and turned it into a powerful tool that now is changing lives, and that is priceless. That makes you a hero, that makes you a star, that makes you a celebrity, that makes you everything in this book. And say it out loud, GG book. Right. You are a high celebrity, and yeah. And as I was reading like your bio and reading the things you do, I also want you to focus on and tell us about what you do in the Camden community, because I was raised in Camden. That's my hometown. I moved from everywhere. I've been in North Camden, South Camden. I've been everywhere. So, but tell us a little bit about what you do in Camden and the programs you're involved.
Yeah. I started off, being, I worked in Philly for 14 years working with youth, and I was very blessed to build up extreme set of skills, to really understand the game from teen homelessness to foster care to, women's domestic violence shelters, and just really being immersed with the reality that there's a lot of people that are struggling out here, and there's not a lot of assistance for Black and brown people within our communities. I had the honor of being a fundraiser manager for NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, and that's when it really stuck out to me, because being the Black and brown community, we don't talk about mental health a lot, and that's something that's overlooked. And even within my own household, nobody asked you like, how are you or what's going on? Because we also have this thing in Black and brown communities, like, the struggles are out there. So, lace up your boots and go to war, and this is what it is. You don't have time to deal with depression or anxiety or sorrow or stuff like that, which is kind of the sweep the dirt under the rug thing. Eventually that pile is going to come out. So once I worked for NAMI, and the main office location was in like Lancaster County or Lansdale, one of those towns outside of the city. My responsibility was to get all of the affiliate NAMI organizations together to do a fundraising walk. And as I began to do it, I realized how disenfranchised the Black and the brown locations were in comparison to the ones that were within, let's say, in a politically correct way, in the suburbs, the suburban environment, and just the disparity between the two, and what type of resources were available in the hood per se versus what was available in the suburbs. In Lansdale, in the suburbs, they had aquatic swimming and horseback riding and stuff like that. In the hood, they give you a pill and methadone clinics up and down the road, all kind of stuff that don't help you get to the next step in life. Kind of sort of putting a band-aid on things. And that's when I realized, like, wait a minute, this is this way inside every economic and social, door that there is. You see the same thing even with youth homelessness. I didn't realize how many homeless youth there were in the city of Philly. Like, us growing up in the hood, worst case scenario, if you get evicted, you go to grandma's house or aunt's house or family members moving in with you. But when I realized there's actually youth that don't have any family in any shape, form, or fashion, just those little type of things really made me more aware of the circumstances that we knew, but seeing the statistics, seeing people firsthand, and realizing, like, hey, I might not be able to change the world overnight, but if I can take an ice pick and just chip away at that glacier, piece by piece, then I can see the impact and the change within my community as well. I have no idea what the question even was. I'm kind of sort of just going, but
no, but you answer it, and you're doing it because that is your reason, and that's why you are here, and that's why. Exactly. Why did you choose to do that and passionate about it instead of
it was the Camden thing, like Maurice doing the Camden thing. So long story short, doing all of that in Philly, like I had a situation where I needed to move out of Philly, and the first opportunity came back to Jersey. I told myself, never going back to Jersey. Being a kid that grows up in Willenboro, Camden environment, you like, I am going. The last place I want to go back to, but God really pulled my heartstrings. Like, you think I had developed you and allowed you to build all these resources, all these skill sets for you not to come back to your home environment. I mean, my grandfather, my grandmother, exactly, my mom, aunts, uncles grew up in Camden my whole life. My closest cousin is born and raised, me being back and forth and seeing the state of the community, especially in the 90s and the 80s. I tell kids all the time now, Camden's different than it used to be back in my day. We used to go to Walter Rand Transportation Center. It was like Michael Jackson Thriller video. So I ended up getting an opportunity to work. Right. People know our age. This I wear my race and my beard proudly. I'm not. For sure. Okay. But I had the opportunity to work with youth in foster care in Camden, and like in a program called CCYD. I started off there running one program helping young boys between the ages of 8 and 15, and it was all of these boys were in foster care within a foster care household. So they're required by the state to come to this program, and our job was to help them develop life skills, help them with homework, things of that nature. It went from that to me running 3 programs, one being one for the young women, and another one being a program called Pathways, which helps young people get into college. When I first started Authentic Minds, the first event I did was a college fair because I lived in North Philly behind Girard College, and it was like no hope in sight. So I was like, let me just get as many colleges as I possibly can, throw them inside a local rec center, and just throw as many darts at the board, like, and hope something sticks. And from there, people were like, nobody's gonna come out to this, and the gym was flooded. I mean, with people that were from 15 to 55 years old, like, and I realized by me listening to the Lord at that period of time, like, anytime He tells me to do anything, I don't care if it doesn't make sense, I don't care if I don't have a budget. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. So bringing that program to Camden, I was like, let me help as many kids as I possibly can get to college or get to trade school and just further their education. One of my favorite quotes is Malcolm X. Is that your education is your passport into the future. So realizing those seeds that I can plant. So it started from there. As I was working there, over time, I'm like, I feel like I can be doing more. You still feel like you have those constraints around you with, grant funding and how you have to approach things, what students you can work with and not work with, how much you can work with them, how much you can't work with them. So there was still certain red tape that I didn't feel comfortable with as a believer, being like, man, like, I need to sometimes have a whole extra hour conversation with this specific kid after the program, but they're going home. How can I get myself inside a position to be able to work with any kids or any parents or any particular issue at any time? That's when I left work. I said, I'm never going back to work a job again. I'm going to fully launch this PR thing that specifically work with youth-based nonprofits. And I started working with an organization called IDEA and a couple other organizations in Camden. I started multimedia and performing arts training programs, everything from poetry to filmmaking to music production, audio engineering, visual arts, graphic design, comic book club, any tool that young people could use from the inner city community to help express themselves, help with their mental health, or just to tell their story. Like I tell Black and brown kids all the time, I'm like, when you look at statistics or you look at the news, it's always somebody else telling your story. So you have the power to be able to tell your own story. Yes. And just took all of those approaches. From there, helped me expand into working with Rutgers and Subaru and organizations and corporations like that to try to
Camden County College.
Yeah, Camden County College to try to do bigger things like youth forums and music and arts festivals and just anything that I can do to impact people, and not just young people, but even adults, like in providing opportunities for as many as my people just as many as people as possible. Like I feel like, and I'll stop here with my long-windedness, but I always feel like, and this is something that's like like ingrained like on my soul is I feel like my purpose here is helping other people fulfill their purpose, and that's what I was blessed to become.
Yeah. And you are.
Yep.
You are. You are blooming. You're blooming to the best version you could be, and I hope you continue to do that. And no matter what barriers pop up, you take them as nothing but lesson learned,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
keep going and keep going. And you're going to always have Say It Out Loud Gigi on your side. That's
right.
for sure.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I appreciate it.
Now, with all that, everything you just finished saying, I understand that comes with both, like, balance. How do you balance that? How do you balance being an artist and an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
How do you balance that in your life?
Yeah.
So, are you a husband? Do you have kids? Talk about a little bit about that stuff and how you balance that between.
Listen, going on 12 years. I have 3 little ones, 10, 6, and 4. 2 girls and 1 boy. And like I feel like my first and my main focus in my ministry, and the main reason why I wanted to have the freedom that I do, because I feel like when we are entrepreneurs or artists and things of that nature, we pursue that so much, and so many other areas of life that get neglected, and then the impact comes later down the line. I don't want to say this person's name because he's super famous, sold millions of records, but I had the honor of a local R&B artist. We can say his name offline. I won't put his business out there, but I went to one of his concerts in Atlantic City, and he invited us to his room afterwards. It's a mega story. When I tell you afterwards, you're gonna crack up. And I'm like, man, I'm just chilling with this dude. It's a multi-platinum artist. I just want to ask about music. And the brother starts talking about his life at this time. Mind you, he got platinum plaques without a shadow of a doubt at this point in time. And he's talking about his regrets of now that his daughter is older and she's a teenager, about what she's going through at that period of time, and how he regrets all of this stardom and all of this fame, and wish he could rewind the clock to be back inside his daughter's life. And I don't even think I had my first daughter at the time, so the seed was planted early. And I was like, man, growing up in a single parent household, growing up with a bunch of people that didn't have dads around and things of that nature, I'm like, I cannot be that guy. There's no way in the world that I dealt with the pain that I did, the ups and downs, and navigating as a young black male without a father consistently there. My dad was in my life at times, but not consistently every single day. I'm talking like I'm so intentional with making sure that my time is freed up to pick up my kids from school, make sure that we're doing homework. I built a freaking Lego city during Christmas time that they're still arguing and fighting about to this day about getting in there, but just realizing, my oldest daughter is on the superintendent's list and dean's roll, honors roll, and has accomplished more within her 10 years probably than I have within my years. But just realizing that that's my first ministry, is being a father. Like, these are the main ones. Like, I'm listening, pardon my French, I'll be damned if I'm out here educating everybody else's child and not making sure that I don't pour into my children, and then going out and setting that example of what they're supposed to do. So, it's difficult at times, but I've made sure that my life has the freedom and the flexibility to be able, there's even certain opportunities that I won't pursue if I know that it's going to interrupt with my schedule of being a father. The most important thing to me is my 3 young ones being able to succeed, and being able to say, your dad was there with me every single step of the way. Like, me and my oldest, we sing Bobby Brown's every little step I said, you will be. But just having that mindset. But it is, it is a lot of work. It takes a lot of prayer. It takes a lot of sacrifice. It also takes not chasing opportunities as well too. I'm very mindful about letting God bring certain things to me, and letting God bring certain people inside my path. There's 1,000 podcasts that I can do, but that doesn't mean I'm supposed to do every single podcast and 5 nights a week to get myself out there or whatever. Just letting the opportunities come when they come, and whenever there's a specific need that's right in front of me, and I feel my heart beating a little bit more, all right, I'm supposed to go after this one right here. So yeah, and just incorporating all 3 together a lot too. That's something else I have to bless them with, even programs that I ran both my daughters with. One of my programs. My daughter had a table at the Music and Arts Festival, and at the different stuff that I do. Yeah. She works with me. She shoots videos, so just making sure that I keep my kids as much involved as possible as well too. So yeah, it's absolutely crazy balance. Keep me in prayer. It's nonstop.
Well, you're doing a great job. And just for those who don't know, that's what called setting healthy boundaries looks like.
Yes.
That's very, very important, especially being an entrepreneur, being able to identify and say, okay, what's a priority and what's not, and what do I negotiate and what is no negotiable.
Exactly.
And family is always, like you said, we were raised in Camden, single parent household, so we know what's being absent looks like and what it feels.
Yeah.
So we're becoming people that we want to be an example, right? So we didn't become what we saw.
Exactly.
We became what we didn't see. And their challenges, that's challenging because we were taught to be absent.
Mm-hmm.
We wasn't taught to be present.
Exactly.
So that's something that we have to walk through our own path and find the way and find the skills.
And to be honest, that's something like now that I'm older, like the mental health thing, like I'm really tapped into it more. Like, and I realized last year, early in the year, I'm like, is there such a thing as being too present all the time? Like, right? Like you said, healthy boundaries. Not saying I'm not going to be there every day for homework and picking up from school, but sometimes being able to pull myself away and pursue certain opportunities that are going to put me in a better position in the future, and having that balance is a thing. Like I realized, like, man, is there a mental health diagnosis for a parent that's like, I need to be there all the time, and just realizing that that's something as well too. And like this year, I'm like, I don't do the New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. But the one thing like that I realized, even for myself outside of New Year's, is being able to carve out more time for myself as well too. Like, just peace of mind time. I don't care if it's a walk around the park or gazing at the waterfront or just throwing on my headphones and listen to a beat without writing. Like sometimes I got this addiction. The minute I put a beat on, I'm like, man, like, where's it at? Like, sometimes just putting the beat on and just chilling, like, and enjoying a glass of wine and watching the birds fly in the sky. Like, I like recognizing that those things, like, are important as well, too, for us,
Yeah, definitely. That's what you call self-love and self-care. It's all about balance. What are the challenges you face as an artist and an entrepreneur, and how do you overcome them?
That's a good question. I just wanted to give you a super shout out as well too. If anybody doesn't know, Judith is officially a journalist. She is giving me young Spanish Larry King vibes. I'll start a question. Shout out to the GOAT Larry King, but you're doing it. But I was extremely impressed by the substance of the questions as well too. And some of the challenges I think that we face as artists, like you see it nowadays, right? Like when we grew up listening to hip hop. Like in R&B, I don't care if it was samba or whatever type of music, everybody was in their own lane. People were themselves and everybody was okay with that. Nowadays, you have this box thing going on with music, like what hip hop is supposed to sound like, or what type of music you're supposed to make, or how your appearance or image is supposed to be. Like, just because I'm from the streets doesn't mean that I have to have an ice girl on all the time and tattoos on my neck. Like, that has nothing to do with me being from the streets. Shout out to my people. Y'all know them as brothers they come, but just this box of what a corporate professional is supposed to look like, what an artist is supposed to sound like. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that all of us face, or even the box that sometimes your parents or your employers or your loved ones, just breaking out of those boxes and accepting like your truth for being exactly who God made you. Like that's why the hip hop name is authentic. I never cared about if I'm gonna sell 1 million records or sell 5,000 copies. Let me write on this on this pad, like what comes to my heart, and to be able to express myself. And there were periods of time when you're like, okay, if I'm a public relations professional, I have to speak like this and carry myself like this, and I had to get to the point like, yo, listen, like I'm Maurice, the authentic Hayman. I'm not gonna hide Maurice Hayman. Like, no, like I've been in business meetings over the last 10 years where a CEO identifies me as authentic. Like there's professors at Rutgers that don't call me by my first name, they call me by authentic, and get into that place where, yo, this is me, like who I am. And it's an amazing freedom for one to have, because God designed us to be our own people. So I think this the biggest challenge was like tearing away the expectation of what people expect from you, opposed to this is who I am and this is what I'm able to do. Also learning how to say no. I think that's a big thing as well too. I have hard time with that. I'm still growing in that, learning to step away from situations like you say they don't benefit you. I had a recent unfortunate situation with a long-time client. I won't say their name. Everybody knows who my client was. I was working with for a long time, and just like when people put you in a box financially, what they think you should get paid versus what you know that you're worth, and just breaking away from all of those challenges as well too. Like I think it's key. And I feel like I don't. I feel like I don't fit inside anybody's groove, right? Like,
as you should.
You know what I mean? Like, but in the hip hop world, like, when you rap about the streets, you're supposed to be a certain type of way, have a certain level of ignorance. You're not supposed to educate kids and have programs and help the homeless. Like, that's something that they do, maybe on Thanksgiving. That's my everyday life, so changing what the script looks like, even being a business owner. Like I didn't take the traditional route of getting my LLC or all those things initially. Like I just started doing like what it was that God put on my heart, and started my public relations firm without paperwork, without really making money. So like that was really one of the biggest challenges is like, how do I leave my footprint here, like without being put inside the box that everybody else wants me to be.
And that's interesting. No, that's interesting because I did the same. I didn't start off just having a company name, but not an actual official company.
Yeah.
I just started doing what I do and just said, I don't want to be labeled, and that's why this podcast is called like diversity.
Yeah.
That's all. We're all unique, and definitely you are authentic for sure. And keep that and keep going with that. That's something to admire in my eyes and something to look up to. And there's a lot of teams that are going to be looking there at this, and this is what authentic look like at its best, is being who you are, is going and being passionate for what you want, and just having that love and believing in yourself. I think it's very important, and I think that that's one of the challenges that comes in by us being raised where we were raised, right? Believing that we were deserving of something like that, and believing that we're capable of doing, because our mind. Because I remember as a kid, in my head, I was a superstar. In my head, I did what you can't imagine, but in my culture, you couldn't. You had to stay in your place, stay in your lane. So that restrict us. So now it's breaking out of that mentality and saying, no.
Yeah, like one of my strongest points, like I teach the young people, especially in Camden, is the broomstick to the ceiling there, right? Like we are so boxed in from what we see or what we expect that we can be. That and it's extreme sometimes too. Sometimes it goes from if you only know people that work at Family Dollar or construction locally, but then you see super mega stars making millions, you kind of have this imbalance of I can't make it, or I'm gonna be all the way up here like nowhere else, and don't understand the paths that it takes. So I tell kids all the time, like, listen, we even did it yesterday. Like, grab an imaginary broomstick, take it, and break that ceiling like above your head, like so you stop limiting like what you're capable of doing. I get kids all the time say, ninth grade, like, there's no way in the world I can get into college. I'm like, dude, you're in ninth grade. Like, you haven't even started.
You have no idea. Yeah.
But when you're inside your environment, and nobody else went to college, or other people are drug dealers, or other people are locked up, and that's all you know, then so often we think that's all that we can be. Like, and a lot of that, like, was set here for us, like the mentality, like we have, even in history, like, we're taught that all of us were slaves, and that's all we were. When we know that's not truthful, like, at all. We come from kings and queens, and not everybody came over here on slave ships. Like, and not everybody came over here on slave ships. That like there's native people darker than me and lighter than you, like that are from our original lands. So just doing away with the illusions and the myths and the walls that we place on ourselves.
Yeah, we definitely have to do it.
Amen, yo.
Yeah, we definitely have to do that in the school system, and how and what they educate and how they educate.
Me and you are doing a tour with a couple other people, like a youth empowerment tour. Like I'm speaking into existence now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we're doing that.
Touch and agree with us, church.
What advice would you give to the inspiring artist or anybody that wants to become an artist or entrepreneur or want to pursue that career? If to your youth, talk to your youth right now and say, they want to become this artist or they want to become this entrepreneur, because I could only imagine having my brain that they'd be like, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. Yeah. I know. Yeah. I've seen them. Yeah. I've seen your youth around you. So I know they look up to you. So this is your dance. What do you have to say?
I'm going to say, first and foremost, what I say to my kids all the time, you're not going to be just like me, you're going to be better. That is, there's no way in the world that I went through everything that I went through.
Drop the mic.
Everything I went through for you to be at the same level as me. That is not happening on my watch. I will not allow it. Something that I think is key is the studying, the research, accepting the trials and errors, accepting the failures. If I had $1 for how many major opportunities I got let go from and stumbled, and just embracing that roller coaster ride, but soaking up as much knowledge in every area as possible. I don't care if you work at McDonald's and you're talking about you want to be a business owner one day. Don't be at McDonald's every day clocking in like, man, I hate this job. Figure out, like there's at some point where you got to get burgers and restock them. You're learning the inventory skill. If a customer is coming up to the desk and you have to say, hi, welcome to McDonald's, say it with a smile, that is customer service. One day you're going to be like Judah and have a storefront and somebody's going to walk in here. And if you're that same person that had an attitude at McDonald's, it's going to be hard for you to keep customers coming inside the door when you own your own business. So not to forsake, like there's a scripture, like one of my favorite scriptures, do not forsake small beginnings. And we overlook sometimes like where we're at. There is some usefulness at every job, every opportunity, absolutely, good or bad. I don't care if it's the parent that is speaking down on you or speaking down to you and say, you're just like your mom or you're just like your dad or you're never going to make it or whatever it is. I don't care if you grab it for fuel. I don't care if you grab it for something for drive. But also too, like I feel like this is a generation that doesn't read as much as we do. Like I feel like research, like I have probably 5 different libraries inside my house. I'm talking bookshelves, like because like my daughter did a report about Harriet Tubman, and I'm like, where do you get your research? Like Google. I'm like Google. I'm like, dude, here,
pick up that book.
Take these 3 books, like, and of course, sure enough, she grabbed some stuff out there, but it takes research, like research the industry. Like that you're interested in. If you say you want to be a rapper, don't just watch rap videos on YouTube. Like watch somebody's documentary about their story, the stuff they went through. Diversify your skill set too. Like I think that's why I choose, why I chose public relations more than anything is because, as a hip hop artist, I'm like, what can I do to help advance my music career? If I'm gonna go to college, let me get a degree that I can learn something that's also gonna help me like grow. So learning how to do press releases, help me write press releases for myself, learning how to do event planning. I put together events that I'm incorporated in as well too. Learning photography, learning film. So now if I do a photo shoot, I can do my own photo shoot and time the camera and edit it. So just learning different skill sets that like that surround the particular field that you're going after. And something else too is I was just preaching this yesterday. I had the honor to go to Eastside High in Camden yesterday. Is like learn multiple skills, right? Like even coming in here, it's just like I know some of the things you do, but I'm like, man, they got products in here, they got artwork in here, like they got therapeutic classes. I mean, there's multiple things. Like an old wise man once told me, the key to becoming a millionaire is have multiple streams of revenue and to diversify yourself. One thing is falling off at a particular moment, then you can pick up those 4 other things. I have, like my mom teases me, says you like a Jamaican boy because I do 8 different things, on top of the things that that I'm really passionate about. I'm also mindful enough to know the things that that I need to do to help me build and help me continue to grow as well.
Oh, are you guys listening? Are you guys listening? So, can you share a personal mantra? So when you wake up every day, I want you to go deep into this question. What is it, the mantra, or what is it, the saying, the affirmation, whatever you want to call it? What is it that keep you pushing besides family, wife, kids, your business, but for yourself as Maurice, as you? What is your mantra? What keeps you going besides having all these other motivations, right? Because you have your family, you have your teens, you have your passion and all that, but for yourself, what does that look like?
Like to be honest, one of the main things that I hold on to is being the mental or the support system or the connection that I didn't have, like, or that I don't have, right? Like to have that, like to fulfill voids as much as possible. Like I recognize every day, like when we wake up, there's another problem that needs a solution. And I take pride in being able to hear from God and being able to get that guidance, be able to have that connection to fill in whatever void that is that I'm guiding into. Like I think that's something that's real big for me, right? Like when I look at, like I don't care if I'm at the grocery store and I saw 5 other customers before me and there's a cashier and nobody speaks to them. They're like, I got 3 coupons, or can I get 3 bags? And nobody says, hey, how are you doing today? How you feeling today? Like you realize you fill a void right there, like for that person. Like I had this lady had to be 70 something years old. I'm watching all these people and I'm like, Miss, how are you doing today? Like, and she's trying to scam. I'm like, no, stop. Like, no, really, how are you today? She's like, oh, thank you. You have no idea how much that just relieved me. Like, it's small stuff like that. Or if you see, like, I don't care if you look at the war in Palestine and Israel and you're watching the suffering of children inside Gaza. How can I put some clothes together and reach out to some of our Palestinian connects to make sure that these clothes get to my friends and get to Palestine? Like, just every day there's something like that we can help somebody with as well. Like, and I said it earlier, I feel as though that my purpose here is helping other people fulfill their purpose. So I'm always tuned into. Like I feel like I have this satellite, like this antenna to hear from the Lord about what needs to be done today. Sometimes he'll put people on my heart. Sometimes he'll put a situation on my heart. Sometimes he'll put, hey, I told you to do this last week and you still didn't do it. I'm like, oh, you know what? Yes, let me do it.
But I can't sleep tonight because of that.
You know what I mean? Like, and then just also realizing too, like, life is short. Like I've lost a lot of close people. My father's passed. Two of my closest uncles, both my grandmothers, both my grandfathers, one of my closest cousins. Like, I do not live like I'm guaranteed to live tomorrow. So living life to the fullest, every day, like, and really, realizing, like, what else can I do today, to chip away at that glacier. So when I'm here, like, a legacy is left behind, or, some open doors are left behind. I don't care if it's as much as me connecting you with 3 other people that might have beautiful insight to be able to come on your show. Like, that's another connection. Or just telling people, like, hey, like, you need to be inspired, girl. Like, you listening, watch this podcast that my other sister's doing. Like, but just having that mindset every day, like, something needs to be done. Like, and really looking at and searching for what continues.
I do have a question, which is not on my list. But just as I hear you talking, but just as hearing you talk, just listening to you, just what do you do? Because you said life is too short, which is I couldn't agree more with you, right? And we have seen and we have had loss in our lives. What do you do with that pain? What do you do with that loss? Or how do you convert that? Or what do you convert that into? Do you hold that in and let it be fuel, or do you release it in the music? What is it? How is it that functions for you in a positive way?
That's a beautiful question, and I have a multi-part answer. That's why I started making music initially. Was even being a teenager, school shopping time comes up, and mom got to make a decision between bills and the other 2 siblings and you. Man, I'm not getting Jordans. I never had Jordans when I was a teenager until I started doing stuff I had no business doing. That's a whole nother segment. But really going to my pen and pad to release and express myself, which I still do now as a grown man. I'm blessed to be able to still make money from my music because I've always been honest in my content. I never cared about what can I write that's appealing to people or cool. It really has always been my therapy. If I had $1 for how many songs that I never released or verses I never released, just because I'm like, man, I'm going through this situation, like I'm gonna write about it. When my father passed 2 years ago, my dad and mom got divorced when I was 8, and there was ups and downs when I was a teen, but over the course of the last 10 years or 12 years of his life, we were like this. And when he passed, I felt an immediate pain, not even so much for myself, but for my kids. That was their pop-up. This is the older version of me. I felt like as they got to know, let's say their grandfather more, they understood me a little bit more, because it's like a mirror image. And when my dad passed, I really felt an extra pain because when you get a certain age, you care about your elders and the wisdom from your elders even more, right? It's something that we overlook a little bit more when we're younger. You start getting to a certain age, like you want to sit down with grandma, grandpa, and dad, and mom, and just have a cup of tea or beer and have great conversations about experiences. So when that happened, we were at such a height of him pouring into me. I'm like, oh, there's nobody else here. And then I realized, and God was like, did I go somewhere? I'm like, you're right. And I had to learn how to balance those emotions of hearing a song, like, oh man, my dad put me onto the song. Like, I was listening to like Alicia Myers, I want to thank you, Heavenly Father, for shining. I never forget when I heard that song again, I immediately was like, Dad, yo, whose song is this? He's like, give me 5 minutes, I forgot. And I'm like, all right, call him back. Like, oh yeah, son, Alicia Myers. Like, even that relationship was going. Or when a college football game, I'm a huge Michigan fan. Man, my dad was a college football guy. My little brother played was in Division I coach. So every Saturday and Sunday we texting back and forth about the sport. So all of those boys were there, and I immediately went to my pen and pad, and it was my place to be able to release my closest cousin. We had the same middle name, same last name, was 6 months apart from each other. We lived in the same house, like when he was killed across the street from where we lived at. So when that void happened, the frustration, the anger, the making the decisions for, get back and all of those things, and went to my pen and pad, really using that music and creative writing and self-expression as a tool to get that out. I still had a part of me that held it in, like, and I wouldn't, the pen and pad was a safe space, but it also was a safe space. Like, okay, now I don't have to fully show my emotion. I'm not, listen, as a man, I have no pride to say over these last 2-3 years, I have learned to cry more than ever in my life. I'm like, dude, like you can't keep holding like this stuff inside. Like, and at first, being man raised by military men and from the streets is like, man, you ain't shit military man. Like, deal with it. It's part of life. It's God's will. Like, but now that I have little girls, like now that I have daughters, just somebody's calling me that's watching. I wonder if they're telling me that something's wrong with the volume or something. But just realizing how important it was for me to also be realistic, even with my daughters, and just telling them, like it's okay to release your emotions. It's okay to tap into your emotions. Now that I have a 4-year-old son, and my son's half black and half Puerto Rican, not having that. If he falls on the ground at the playground, scrapes his knee and cries like, little boy, you're going to be a man one. No, boy, it hurts and your knee hurts. It's okay to cry right then and there, and to embrace it.
Generational cycle.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like and I realized the importance of doing it now, especially in front of my children, like, letting them know that it's okay. Like, I have the middle child is my 6-year-old daughter. She is strong as nails, but she is emotional, and teaching her, like, if you're upset, it's okay to cry. Not that whole, like, I was raised like, you better shut up for me, something to cry about. Like,
for sure.
Like, I come from that era, where you like, okay, push these things right back in this, but it's okay to be able to be in touch with your emotions and feelings. Like, we are human beings, we're not robots. And I think that was the most strongest thing for me. Like, of course, prayer, of course, studying, of course, sitting by yourself, all of that is great, but that's still, but God still gives us a responsibility to do certain things, like within ourselves as well, too. Like, he's not a puppet master where he's going to move the strings or anything like that. We still have the work to do as well, too, to deal with our emotions and just be honest, too. Like, even when you go to pray, that, like, a lot of us are taught, like, like, you don't burden God with certain things. You don't cry to him about it. Like, he wants us to be open and be honest within our prayer or our meditation and say, God, I'm hurt right now, or I'm confused, or my dad passed. Like, what am I supposed to do next? Like, really being able to be honest with him, like, with our emotions is key. Like, and that's why I think musically, why I've been blessed to still be who I am, is because people know, like, man, I can listen to this artist, I can listen to Drake when I want to have fun, or I'm turning up with my girls on Friday night, or if I broke up with my man, I can listen to this person. But people know, like, when I want inspiration, reality, truth, authenticity, I know to go listen to the authentic, like, and that's where I pride myself.
So you listen to your own music. You go back.
I do.
And do you get inspired by it again? Like over, even if you really,
humbly.
Oh, that's
I mean, there's
awesome.
songs from like it's so crazy. Right before I left, my daughter was listening to a mixtape I dropped 10 years ago, and it was a couple years ago. We were out somewhere. I want to say like Spruce Street Harbor, and this guy, like the name of my album was called Righteous Kill at the time. I'm listening because I was coming at a lot of the situations in the world, so I was justifying like me slaying certain things. And this guy's like, "Yo, Righteous Kill, Righteous Kill," and my mom was like, and the missus like, "Ain't that the name of your project?" I think somebody's calling you. I'm like, "My name ain't Righteous Kill," and they're like, "Righteous Kill," and it's this guy like, "Yo, man, I had your album back then," and like and just realizing. But it's funny because when I left, my daughter, she's doing her homework. She got her headphones. She's like, "Dad, I didn't realize you put this song on Righteous Kill album. Man, I done listened through this twice." And I'm like, "Yo, don't you love the song? Da 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 da." We listened to a couple together, and I'm just like, made this album 10 years ago, and the content is still relevant. It's still powerful. Your flow's there. It's nothing I look back like, why was I rapping about? Like, that, like, when you're honest with yourself inside certain times, like, of your life, like, they can still show up later. So that's the biggest lesson.
Awesome. That's awesome just to hear you, because I could imagine, I could just visualize it, having that moment. And it's also not just the music, it's a bomb moment. It's something that you did at a vulnerable state in your life, and here you're sharing it with your little girl that inspired her, and she feels like, oh my God, Daddy's using these words, and I could relate. I could see that.
Like there's a song even called listening to my latest music videos is Pressure, that talks about life's pressures and things that we deal with, and paying bills and family, and to really like I played it inside the school yesterday, because there's also a segment where there's a drug dealer offering a young person the opportunity to sell drugs, and make a decision not to go with that guy and to go to their track practice. And when they go there, they're inspired and supported, and just making music that even if I'm going through a pressure situation, like, man, I press play on me, like, you know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of my music is me ministering to myself, or somebody that's inside a similar situation like that I'm in. Like, what are the words that I need to hear when I'm going through this? And then when I go back and listen to it, it's like, bro, you said that. Ain't nobody else preached that to you.
Yeah, that's powerful, right?
Hold yourself accountable for your own words. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Be inspired. Even the dreams come true thing. Like the entire song is about what I've been through. So even times when I might not be like where I want to be at that particular moment, I had to remind myself everything that I made it through to get to the place that I am. So to stop looking ahead of where I think I should where I think I should be at that moment, versus like, yo, look what God bought you, bro. Like, you should be a statistic. Like, you should have multiple kids by different women. You should have you should be locked up right now. Like, you should not have your own business. You should be a worker because everybody else that you know work, and all of those boxes that you should be in, because statistics say like, you should be abusive, you should be alcoholic, you should be an addict. All of these things, you broke all of those barriers, and you're not any of those things. So recognize how blessed you are to be where you're at. So often, like, having that music that re-preaches back to you, I think is key as well. You know what I mean? Thank you. Thank you.
Powerful. Ooh. Ooh. How do you approach the business side when it comes to marketing? Like, when you market, and these are two questions, because you're an artist and you're an entrepreneur. So when you market yourself, I know I already know the answer to that because it's in your name, authentically. But I want you to go a little bit more in depth of what that looks like. So you're not selling yourself. You're not just marketing. So talk about a little bit about that. What's your approach? What's your advice? What was that approach? What does it look like when it comes to marketing your art and being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, that is a super dynamic question, and something that I'm forever navigating, because I'm a public relations person, and making sure I maintain a balance with promoting myself, but I can't do the woman on the track in Miami or Las Vegas thing either, right? Because there's a lot of artists that like oversaturate, and I'm also old school. I'm from era of hip hop where your rapping skills would matter more, but now we're in a day and time where I might be the kid that says they rap and I follow my Instagram. I'm like, dude, you got one video, but you got 87 pictures of you styling in front of your car. Like, do you rap or are you a model? Like, which one? You know, so I'm mindful about, you know what I mean? Like, you know, about not over saturating, you know what I mean, the internet, because I'm humble too. I'm also not, you know, people tease me like, bro, you need to do more of these and let people know the man behind the music a little bit more, but which I do more publicly, I think, in more an organic way. Yeah. I found that I have a stronger base than a lot of people because I'm more organic than I am digital, right? There's a lot of artists that will have 1.3 million followers, but they do 4 shows a year. Whereas I'm booked almost every month. I only probably did 1 free show all in 2023 because all of my relationships were organic. I might not have as many views or as many record sales as Drake, but I get paid for almost every show like that I do because of who I am and how I present myself and how I represent myself as well too. I promote myself more through the works that I do within the community. Like, you know, faith without works is dead. And I think that it's more important for me to plant a seed to inspire somebody to do something more than to be like, hey, look, I'm trying to do this song with Nas, or I'm trying to do, or like, you know, a very humbling situation like Jadakiss and Fat Joe have reached out to me within the last year to do a collab. I'm not like doing a video, hey, yo, it's authentic here. Look, if you look at this screenshot, Jadakiss is in my inbox, man. We working on a collab like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's not me. Like, that's not more important than hey, I'm working with this specific group of youth, and we're doing a poetry class, and nobody wrote poetry when they first came into class, and within 2 weeks, everybody has a poem. Like, that's more powerful to me and more substantive to me. And also thank God at the end of the day too. Like, I think if we like, you know, me kind of thing, like, I think we do away with, like with the core substance. Like, and then even business wise too, I do need to get better because, with certain structure, but I've been extremely blessed because I haven't, like, any opportunity, job, client that I've had, it's really about trusting the Lord and really saying, like, who you have me to work with. And I'm telling you, 10, 15 years later, he has continued to open up doors that go into a hallway where another door is, where I don't have to, like, you know, figure out what's my next move or my next opportunity. People have really came into my life and provided opportunities. Like, I don't look for podcast interviews. And the minute that I said to myself, like, man, we'll be doing a lot of podcast interviews. I don't be getting one, like, Lord, and then leave it alone. And then I see the email, like, Happy New Year, bro. Like, we would love that. Like, you know, so yeah, this is a perfect example. Like, we never even had as much as we worked together in events. We talked about networking, we talked about getting together, but it wasn't like, hey, one day I want to book you for my podcast. Let's look at January. It didn't happen that way. It happened organically by us doing events together, by us being good people to each other and building and networking and realizing we know some of the same people for God to put that on your heart for you to open up that door for me. And that's the way everything has worked inside my life. And I think it's a form of, I think it's a form of protection in a lot of ways because, like, I'm real big with not casting my pearls in the swine and thinking I need to go after every opportunity or knock on every door or try to seek or lift up every rock and look for everything that's there, opposed to just trusting the process. And I don't want to use that term because I'm a huge Sixers fan, but, you know, trusting the process as well. You know?
Yeah, but I could definitely see that because that's how it happened. I was sitting down and I said 2024 is going to be different.
Shout out to your second episode.
Yes, shout out to my second episode. Let me tell you, I sat down and I said, just who's in my heart and who I know that could bring and make an impact with what I love and I'm passionate about. And only 3 people came to my heart. It was one of the first ones.
Very humbling, very humbling.
And I said, okay, I just wrote down your name. I wrote that this was December.
Yeah.
Okay, wrote down your name. And then that intuition, that just, that energy, that flow, and I just sent the email and I said,
so humble.
I'm okay with no, I'm okay with it.
You see, I responded back immediately.
Yeah, and you did.
And I wasn't going to turn down also too, because I told you I'm a little bit about helping other people fulfill their purpose. And I know, like your core essential of the type of woman that you are, the stuff that you do, like your intentions, your desires to grow as well too. And that's something I'm big about, like we met each other with me, providing opportunities, even with that initial event was me opening up the doors at the center like that I was working at and building that partnership, and Michelle coming and say, hey, I got some people, and I'm like, listen, bring them on. Like when you first met me, I was listening, setting up tables, make sure people had water, knew where the bathroom was at, and just being graceful, not even knowing you initially. But then as time goes, you realize like, all right, this person deserves another opportunity.
And we're here to uplift, not tear down, and that's the difference. That's the kind of relationship we want, and that's the kind of relationship I want in my life. And I know that you're that type of person. You build up, you empower. Let's go, let's do it. It's us.
My dad told me always, like, real recognize real. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, drop the mic. Another drop mic moment.
Oh my God. We're gonna have the hashtag there, like throughout the thing to drop the mic.
Yes, I said it like twice, right? Every time, like drop the mic. And before we close out this episode, this segment, I want you to talk about the 2 songs you just sent. Mm-hmm. I was like mind blown. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So my new album, I'm gonna send the whole thing to you too, so you can.
You are okay. So he sent me 2 songs to his new album, and I just gotta promote it for a minute because I was like, "What? Wait a minute. Okay, it's connected to my phone right now." I was like, and not only that, it's like you could hear the passion behind it. You're not just
rapping a rap.
No, you're getting into people's souls. So talk about these 2 songs. It's To the Moon. Mm-hmm. What is that about? What inspired you?
Oh yeah, just the well, to be honest, the producer's title for the song was Moon or something like that, and the sample shaped it all. The sample says, "I'm just a man on his way to the moon, wishing the rocket would go faster." And that is like a feeling, right? Like even if we're doing good, like you're blessed, but you know that there's still more levels ahead. Like this is not your end. You haven't reached your peak or your summit. There's so many more levels after this level, and I know that about myself as well too. Like I feel it in my core every day. Like man, like if I got here already, like without even I kind of sort of look back and I'm like, dang, 10 years or 15 years flew by and I'm here, and I never even imagined then that I would be at this point. I never imagined that I would have my own business and I wouldn't have to wake up every day 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, punching the clock. I never visualized myself here. I just keep going. And when you get to a certain place in life, you realize, man, if I got here without even trying and it kind of just got here, but I really can't wait to get to that place, but I had to be a base and a bound, like the word says. I had to embrace where I'm at, but recognize where I'm going. And that's where that song is for everybody that wants to break through that ceiling and those clouds that we have and realize there's I'm listening a whole galaxy beyond the atmosphere that we see on the day to day. Same thing with our situations in life, like where you're at now versus where you really want to be and where you're really going, and embracing that, but also accepting where you're at, but letting that jetpack, ignite and launch up so you can go. I literally said in the first bars, fueled up jetpack, I'm second launch to higher heights. Many turns I made a left, but now I'm trying to steer it right. I grew up out the concrete, but little light it chose to see. Pain inside my chest, determination is the spark I need, and just that,
drop the mic.
Give me a sign.
Drop the mic. That's it.
But speaking to people's soul, there's an artist in Camden, a young Puerto Rican artist. You might have met her before, Priscilla Rios. That's part of We Live Here. Muralists, they do a lot of murals throughout the city. Brainer Zombie, my boy, shout out to them. Priscilla. But Priscilla, when I first put that song online, she messaged me right away, bro, this spoke to my soul so much, and I listened to the song on repeat. It just as a mantra to tell myself that And when people that's as talented as that and go through things in real life, like that's what I make music for. Like I know I'm not for the masses. I know when you look at the type of music that's promoted now, what the agenda is for our environment, like I know it doesn't match with that. But I'm like, oh well, I got to give people something else to, you know what I mean, to be inspired.
And you are, and you just did, and that's going to be my new for a whole full month until I know the lyrics. But
I got you. Like you had to make a video. Listen, I'm shooting music video soon, so I'm definitely
just start singing in the background. Let me tell you, but it's some good stuff. Some definitely good stuff. I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you. I'm honored.
Likewise.
I am definitely honored. We need to definitely start collaborating. Before you leave, I want you to mention all the activities that you have or anything that's going on for people to know. Because I know you have the Lego thing.
Yes, I'm super corny. This will be I'm hosting my second annual Lego Day in Camden. Potentially at the neighborhood center. We're still fine tuning the details, but we're accepting Lego donations for kids inside the city of Camden because just doing the research, young people having the tools to build, to be able to express themselves. I'm just trying to put more tools and resources inside kids' hands. I'm also partner, super humble to be partner with Merck Beats and Lady Jers for Beat Suite Academies we're doing. And Merck is a multi-platinum producer from South Jersey, one of the most humble producers you'll ever meet. We have Beat Suite Academies, which we're launching within the Camden school system. We're trying to lock down as many schools and locations because of the impact of beat making, the stress relief, the mental health components, all of that. So that's in the process. And just making myself more available for local businesses, I think is something I want to be mindful about. So opening minds, we are full service public relations company. We do everything from marketing to press releases to photography to graphic design to event planning to booking to assisting with sponsorship, corporate relations, all that good stuff as well too. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me for that. Even if it's just pointers or Q&A, I feel like the knowledge given to me is not for myself, so I have no problem with sharing it back. My album, One Nation of God, One Nation Under. I call it One Nation Under because I feel like society leaves God out so much. So a lot of the music is talking about issues that we deal with in society. To the Moon is on there. Autumn is on there. Pressure is on there. Dreams Come True is on there. Super shout out to everybody that already downloaded it. I am super humbled by the movement. But if you don't have it yet, you're missing out. I'll make sure that Miss Judith Diaz has the links available, and we'll make sure we put the information in the comment bar and stuff. And outside of that, just being a father and pressing the reset button and realigning ourselves, keep me in prayer because I know I'm on a mission that most aren't willing to take. So keep me in prayer consistently as well too. Send one up for it, bro. All that good stuff. And I also got my clothing line as well too.
Okay.
T-shirt and hoodie print and all that good stuff.
And how can they get a hold of that? Through your website, through your email?
Through my Instagram page as well too. So you can make orders through there. But just reach out. Like I'm open, old school for a conversation. Photography business, make sure you check that out as well too. Blah, 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 blah. But more importantly, continue to support my sister. Click the subscribe button, repost, reshare, leave a comment. All of this stuff makes a difference. Please do not scroll by and look and say, wow, that's nice, and just only click the like button. Leave a comment. Tell your sister, your cousin about this young lady right here and continue to support the movement.
Thank you. I am honored. Thank you for being here, Maurice. And until next time, this is our first, but not our last.
Yes. With
a humble heart, thank you from Say It Out Loud GT. Thank you, Maurice, for being here. Till next time.
Peace.